Part 7. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 61. A few days later, Huaya led an army to the outskirts of the Able system and joined Sumari's vanguard army. Then the two sides did not waste time to explore the truth and directly formed their formations in the Minky star system outside Abor for a decisive battle. No one knows the details of the battle. They only know that the king of heavenly destruction was defeated, and finally led his elite 400,000 troops to retreat back to the base camp of the Able system, the Able star. Huaya made great progress all the way, and everywhere he passed was a scene of surrender, but Huaya had no intention of letting go of the heavenly destruction king Huashang. After collecting hundreds of thousands of prisoners of war who had been abandoned by the Chinese merchants of the king of destruction, Huaya marched into Abor, the base camp of the king of destruction, with the power of victory. Looking at this, Binghua didn't pay attention to the follow-up of this war, because the result was already very clear. Even the superior force could not defeat it, let alone be at an extreme disadvantage. As expected, things did not go as Binghua expected. Huaya destroyed the entire Abor star with a star-killing strike, and Huashang, the king of destruction, finally fell. This result made many people a little bit sad. The first king of destruction to be the leader was killed by Huaya so easily. However, before his death, King Tianmi exposed the reasons for his failure. 3 generals under Huaya have been promoted to the first generation of divine bodies. This secret message sent by the king of destruction contained a strong sense of unwillingness. He hated himself for not being decisive enough. He should have immediately annexed the other angel kings around him after being promoted to a generation of divine bodies, and then immediately attacked Tiancheng. That might have been another outcome. After the foreign kings from all walks of life read the secret message, they were immediately worried. After Huaya killed the strongest leader, would it be their turn next? You must know that all the foreign kings disobeyed Huaya's orders in order to obtain the materials for the first generation god-making project. Huaya was most famous for his vengeful heart. When he lost 100,000 troops on Mero Star, he publicly executed tens of thousands of female angel prisoners in a fit of rage. After Huaya led his army back to Tiancheng, he used the prestige accumulated from this almost crushing victory over the king of heavenly destruction to ask all the foreign kings to hand over the information of the first generation god-making project and self-destruct the first one. A generation of gods. This order was very strict and left almost no room for maneuver, but the foreign kings from all walks of life were unwilling to accept it. Because they are all old people from the Huaikui period, most of them are around 5,000 or 6,000 years old, and the oldest among them is only a few hundred years away from the life limit of the third generation super warrior. Huaya's order can be said to be almost like asking them to die. The most intolerable thing for these expatriate kings is that Huaya destroyed that illusory boundary but did not allow them to step on it. The rule that Huake established when he was in power was to prevent infighting among angelic civilizations, and non-kings of angels were not allowed to advance to the divine body. But the current situation is why the younger generations such as Sumari, Xingyo, and Suri, who are ordinary army commanders, can be promoted to a generation of gods, but they, the foreign kings who have made great contributions to the angel civilization, cannot have a generation of gods. This strong sense of contrast and imbalance in the heart is what the expatriate kings cannot bear the most. Huaya, who was far away in the celestial city and was celebrating this great victory with his men, didn't know that his order had already met with extremely violent backlash. In fact, the result of this matter came soon, but this result may not be too good for Huaya. He took it a little too much for granted. In fact, strictly speaking, Huaya deceived his generals. Chenexing's original plan was to secretly promote General Tiangong to the first generation of gods while the foreign king was silent. Then, he used a crushing attitude to attack the most disobedient expatriate king, and Huashang, the king of destruction who was the first to jump out and take the lead, was the perfect target to scare the monkeys. At that time, you can use the power of victory to overwhelm all the foreign kings, and kill anyone who disobeys. People often feel fearful because of the unknown. Huaya simply destroyed an angel king of a generation of gods. It was not easy to kill them. So even if those expatriate kings are unwilling to do so, more than 50% of them will bow their heads and surrender because Hui group has the power to crush them. But who would have known that in the end, the king of heavenly destruction had a scheming plan, and when he fell, he kept a secret to promote Huaya to his general to become a god. This made Chen Xing, who proposed the plan, want to scold his mother. The original plan was for Huaya, the second-generation god of the heavenly palace, to personally kill the Chinese businessman of the heavenly palace, so that their most critical trump card would not be exposed. But who would have thought that Huaya had promised well before leaving, but who would have thought that he gave up during the crucial decisive battle? In the end, Seminary, Suri, and Xinyo took action together to kill the heavenly destroyer King Huashang. Now there is no good way for Chen Xing to reverse the situation. He is not a wise man and does not have the ability to control people's hearts. In the end, the big deal is just to see who has the bigger fist. Chen Xing is not worried about this. Huake actually has quite a lot of experience accumulated. Even though there are only 2 million angel legions stationed in Tianquan now, there are 100,000 second-generation guard soldiers among them. If this force is used well, it can change the outcome of a war. In fact, the backlash of the expatriate king was much more violent than expected, and its consequences were also very serious, so serious that Hui group had to be prepared. The remaining 9 angel kings, who were either strong or weak, reached a tacit agreement to unite and formed the 9 Kings Alliance, supporting one slogan: Crusade against Tiangong Huaya and re-establish the Order of Angels. The major angel kings took most of their troops on their flagships and surrounded the celestial city in the angel galaxy. Aren't you Huaya very strong? Aren't you awesome? The 9 kings just flipped the table and stopped playing with Huaya. They kicked Huaya out first, and our remaining 9 kings were playing slowly. Huaya finally panicked this time and could no longer hold the celebration banquet that was halfway through. He directly mobilized all the troops he could muster to deal with the 9 Kings Alliance. Just as the 2 major military groups of Angel Nebula were forming to prepare for confrontation, Binghua, Kesha, Hexi, and Liangbing were also connecting online to hold a meeting. The Angel Nebula is at its most chaotic right now. Huaya and 9 Kings have no energy to take care of us for the time being. I think the female angel cannot continue to be silent like this. Kesha was the first to speak. She was the most discerning among the women. Kesha was the one who led the attack on Mellow Star. And the result is obvious. The stolen first-generation God-making project data bought the female angel group valuable survival time and space. I agree with this. No matter who wins or loses in the end, we female angels will always be an eyesore. Binghua directly agreed with Kesha's words. But we still don't have effective means and warriors to fight against the first-generation gods. I think it will be safer to wait until the super genes of the third-generation super warriors are perfected. Hexi's talent is all about technology. She is not good at long-term planning. What she is concerned about is whether the overall strength of the female angel can compete with the male angel. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 62. As soon as he 11 made his remarks, Liangbing spoke immediately. I'm afraid, we are not fighting with their main force, hard steel, we are just trying to grab territory from behind while those male angel kings are fighting with that scumbag Huaya. Kesha nodded to show her agreement with Liangbing's words. What Binghua said before is good. Now we can stay in our respective territories comfortably. But when the outcome is decided between Huaya and the 9 Kings Alliance, then the rest of us will definitely be a thorn in their side. Therefore, we must take advantage of this opportunity for them to confront each other to strengthen the strength of our respective legions as soon as possible. As soon as Kesha finished speaking, Binghua continued to speak. I agree with Kesh's idea. The Heavenly Sword Legion under my command has only grown to about 100,000 people in recent years. If it continues to develop at this rate, I don't know how many years it will take to reach a level where it can confront Huaya head-on. Binghua has never been one to wait for others to knock on her door. She has been promoted to the second-generation warrior and wants to know where her current level is. In the end, Hexie didn't raise any objections. Although she was not good at planning, she could still clearly distinguish the basic status quo. After the coalition of 9 angel kings surrounded the angel galaxy, they directly aimed their troops at Tiancheng. But Tiancheng is a super project that has invested the highest technology and resources of the entire angel civilization. As the last line of defense of the angel civilization and the last resort, the large-scale celestial fortress is like a towering mountain peak lying in front of the coalition forces, blocking the coalition's millions of troops. As a giant celestial fortress, it possesses extremely terrifying firepower. Just the fact that it is loaded with several star-destroying energy weapons that can strike across galaxies gives the coalition forces a headache. Although the coalition forces also have the ability to destroy star strikes, they can't fight against Tiancheng at all because the range is not as far as Tiancheng. However, if a kinetic star-destroying weapon is launched, it will be intercepted by Tiancheng from a distance, which is just a waste of resources. Although Huaya was at a disadvantage on the surface, in fact, if the coalition forces could not find a way to break through Tiancheng's defense system, there would be nothing they could do against Huaya, who was hiding in Tiancheng. Heavy footsteps echoed in the air, accompanied by the sound of heavy metal parts colliding and grinding against each other. On the high platform at the top of the central building of the Sky Sword Legion base, Binghua was wearing the finalized heavy armor of the Broken Army, with a heavy sword and gun in one hand and a thick shield in the other. Today's Pajun Type 1 has become more noble and beautiful than it looked in the laboratory. There is a circle of white backward curved velvet on the back of the neck, which is also connected to a straight line to the calf, with the heavenly sword printed on it. A wide blue cloak decorated with legionary gold patterns. The arm guards on both arms were also changed to a layered carving pattern, with 2 lines of sacred language codes engraved on them. Binghua's original height of 1.7 meters has increased to nearly 1.8 meters after wearing the Pajun armor. In addition, the thickness of the Pajun armor, if the waist is not a little thinner, some people even say that he is a burly man. Some people will believe it. Binghua holds a heavy sword and gun more than 2 meters long, and a shield that is 1.2 meters high covers half of his body, revealing only the thick metal boots on the feet below and the metal skirt on one side of the body that almost reaches the calf. The blue cloak behind him was slightly stretched out by Binghua's movement of raising his arms to hold the sword and gun, making Binghua's figure look very broad. If you don't attack, I will rush over. Don't say I bully you then. Binghua's voice came out from behind the metal mask that covered his face, but both Angel Ran and Angel Lan looked at a loss of what to do. Because Binghua was like a metal monster at this moment, with no part of his body exposed. How were they going to attack that seemingly indestructible armor? Then, commander of the army, be careful. In the end, Angel Ran, who was the order conveyor and had a more decisive personality, was the first to take action. The angel's wings spread out with a flutter, and he bent his legs slightly and stepped back hard. At the same time, the wings behind his back suddenly flapped. The angel burned, leaving several circles of spreading ripples in the air behind him, and rushed towards Binghua with his sword. This is like a real warrior. Binghua shouted excitedly, and his body felt heavy and his heart dropped. Although he had never practiced weapons such as giant swords and guns in his hands before, Binghua was very confident in his fighting instincts. The thick shield moved forward, covering only the part of the body below the eyes of the visor. This was to prevent the line of sight from being blocked. Angel Ran, who was charging, twitched his mouth. He saw that with just one move, there was an ice flower that looked like an extremely thick shield in front of him. He thought in his heart that this was not a fool's errand. However, this did not extinguish the strong fighting spirit rising in Angel Ran's heart. What Binghua didn't know was that among the veterans of the Heavenly Sword Legion, there had been rumors about Binghua's powerful personal strength in the battle on Marrow Star. As a warrior, Angel Ran has long wanted to compete with Binghua, wanting to confirm whether his legion commander is as powerful as the legend says. This has nothing to do with identity or status, it is just the expectation and fighting spirit in every warrior's heart for the powerful. There was a buzzing explosion, and the extremely terrifying force collided and exploded in a circle of invisible spreading wind. The flaming sword stabbed hard on the shield with the golden sword wing pattern, but Binghua behind him did not take even a step back. Instead, Angel Ran's wrist was sore from the shock. But the next moment, the discomfort in Angel Ran's wrist holding the sword was restored due to his strong body. Since it was a practice, Binghua couldn't just defend and not attack. He moved the shield in front of him and Binghua used the force technique in swordsmanship to attack. His right foot stepped forward on the white floor, making a dull sound. A force originated from Binghua's legs, reached his waist, and then passed to his right shoulder. Then the force drove the heavy sword and gun through his entire arm and swept out. The stirred air between the swings of the huge sword and gun rolled like waves, and Angel Ran felt an irresistible feeling rising in his heart. However, as a person who survived the battlefield, Angel Ran will naturally not lose his ability to move to this extent. Without enough time to dodge, Angel Ran held the flaming sword in front of him as a shield. But the next moment, Angel Ran was like a baseball, being smashed away by the sweeping sword and gun without any resistance, and flew directly out of the top rooftop area where the sparring was held. Binghua ignored Angel Ran who flew out and urged Angel Lan who was a little stunned. "Lan, don't stand there. I stopped just now. Ran will be fine with her. Come and help me test my current evasion ability." Binghua said that she was quite satisfied with her attack ability. The armor and weapons she was wearing now weighed at least close to 2 tons. Among them, the weight of the sword and gun is 700 to 800 kilograms. With such a heavy weapon and Binghua's power of at least 100 tons after being promoted to the second-generation super soldier, the destructive power produced by swinging it is naturally extremely terrifying. When Angel Lan attacked next, Binghua only defended but did not attack. Facing the flaming sword, Binghua only used his shield or the weapon in his hand to block in order to familiarize himself with the use of the 2 weapons in his hand. Binghua even tried not using a shield, but directly using his thick arm guards to block attacks. To avoid the attack, Binghua could only flexibly turn sideways and quickly move to both sides to dodge, or use the most primitive rolling dodge method, or just carry it directly. There is only one update today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 63. After the Pajun armor was finalized, Hyuka often sparred with Ran and Lan who took the time to familiarize themselves with new weapons. However, Binghua also issued an order for the Heavenly Sword Legion to complete preparations for battle recently, and the female angel warriors began to practice assault training for combat in space and the atmosphere. The other is ship-breaking training. Binghua himself has been on the battlefield and understands that large battleships generally have powerful energy shields, which often require the support of the flagship to break them. However, Binghua understands better that instead of expecting fire support from the flagship, weapons that are in hand can provide more peace of mind. In order to crack this large ship-based shield, Binghua specially discussed with He-11 and jointly designed an energy interference algorithm specifically for the shield. This algorithm is a special universal algorithm that is converted into a sacred language code and engraved on a lightweight dagger. This dagger has a built-in micro-weapon engine linked to the Sky Blade flagship. As long as the flagship obtains the data and energy composition of the enemy's shield, the flagship will immediately control the energy interference algorithms of all such energy-destroying daggers on the battlefield. After the algorithm is adjusted, when this energy-breaking dagger is pierced on a large shipboard shield, it will interfere with the energy intensity of the shield in a small area, and then emit a shock wave that can reduce the shield and destroy the shield. Energy constitutes, opening a small gap. The angel warriors can then use their super warrior physiques to force their way through the energy shield that has become unstable due to shockwave interference, and thus break into the enemy ship. In this era when super soldiers do not yet have the destructive power of a single target, and the shields of celestial battleships are backed by imported stellar energy, this pirate-like invasion strategy is undoubtedly very effective. At the same time, after so much time of resource accumulation, Binghua's first-level guard angels have been fully promoted to second-generation warriors, and now this range is still gradually radiating downwards. As for the technology of the third-generation super warriors, a breakthrough has been made, but Hexi is still conducting final experiments on the Tianji Legion, and it is temporarily unable to spread it to the other three angel legions. But what Binghua could foresee was that the promotion conditions for the third generation of super warriors would be much more stringent than those for the second generation. Otherwise, Hui Group, which has mature super warrior technology, would not have only a dozen third generation super warriors. Not to mention those foreign kings, those who have 4 third generation super soldiers under their command are considered very powerful. Now the foreign king has taken away most of the elites to attack Huaye's hometown Tiancheng. Most of the ones left behind are ordinary angel legions, and at most there is only 1 third generation super soldier left behind. Now that Hinghua's anti-third generation super soldier suit has been manufactured, she is worthy of facing off against the third generation super soldier. After more than 10 years of development, the Heavenly Sword Legion's combat force has reached more than 90,000 people. It is close to the peak period of the Legion and is divided into more than 18,000 5-person angel squads. These teams are led by 3,600 ordinary guard angels, and are directly under the unified command of the command messenger Angel Ran during wartime. On top of the ordinary guard angels, there are 720 second-level guard angels and 145 first-level guard angels who have been promoted to second-generation warriors, forming an elite force directly under Binghua's leadership. As for why the second-level angels are not promoted to second-generation super warriors, it is because the Sky Sword Legion does not have enough resources. Binghua's original idea was to let the collective of female angels receive fair treatment in the angel civilization. But after becoming the Legion commander, Binghua found that it was extremely difficult to maintain fairness. Even if no one said it out loud, Binghua could tell that there were several classes vaguely divided within the Heavenly Sword Legion. This is not man-made, but is caused by the nature of intelligent life. People with insufficient talents worship talented people, and incompetent people will spontaneously follow capable people. Just like Binghua once gave 2 female angels, Angel Ran and Angel Lan, permission to be promoted to the second generation of super warriors. At that time, the female angels below all believed that this was a matter of course. Scarce things should be used on the blade. This was a common idea among the female angels below at that time. But if Binghua gave the remaining 7 spots that could be promoted to second-generation warriors to 7 of the dozens of first-level guardian angels at that time, then this matter would be different. Although the first-level guardian angels who were not qualified at the time would not express any objections, no one could know what they were thinking. You may feel that the Legion commander is unfair and favors those colleagues who have obtained qualifications. This small idea will take root in the hearts of those guardian angels, and with time and some small things in daily life, it will take root and sprout until it grows into a towering tree. At that time, the simple and emotional female angels will be caught in the whirlpool of struggle for rights and resources. Binghua doesn't want to see that day, so she will remain relatively fair. If the resources are sufficient, she will grant all first-level guardian angels the qualification to be promoted at once. If the second-level guard angel wants to be qualified for promotion, he must make military exploits on the battlefield. If there is no war, we can only wait until Binghua has enough resources to promote all the second-level guard angels at once. Binghua didn't know how Kesha, Liangbing, and Hexi dealt with the internal problems of the Legion, but the above method was the best that Binghua could think of. In addition, Binghua also modified the original old system of the Sky Sword Legion. Binghua believed that powerful warriors should gather together to attack the enemy's weak points, so as to determine the outcome of a war with one blow. In addition, Binghua, who had participated in the Battle of Merlot Star, was deeply aware of the shortcomings of the original command model of the Sky Sword Legion. On a dangerous battlefield, it is undoubtedly a very dangerous thing to be distracted from commanding your troops while killing the enemy. Coupled with the progressive command model, if the second-level guard angel or ordinary guard angel in the middle is killed, then the first-level guard angel will face the situation of having no available soldiers. So Binghua streamlined the wartime command mode, directly bypassing the first and second-level escort angels, and handed over the angel squad to the unified command of Angel Ran, who is the Legion's command conveyor. As for these extra elite angels, Binghua decided to personally lead them to do the most dangerous thing, which was to attack the ship and behead them. The piercing electric chirping sounded in the air, like countless birds chirping together. Binghua raised his sword and gun with a large number of electric snakes swimming around, his knees were slightly bent, and the sacred language engraved on the side of his boots began to glow with a burning orange light. Charge! Binghua Jr. yelled. She thought this would be very impressive, so she took the opportunity to push her combat boots back and exploded into a ball of spider web-shaped lightning. Binghua, who was wearing Pajun Type 1 heavy armor, transformed into a blue light and shadow and rushed out instantly. Angel Lan, who was watching the battle on the sidelines, only heard a loud rumbling sound. The floor dozens of meters away collapsed directly several meters downward. In the blue arc of the explosion, the edge of the collapsed pit was raised more than 2 meters high. Stone. In the pit, the heavy sword and gun in Binghua's hand pierced deeply into the center of the charred pit. The blue cloak behind his gorgeous white heavy armor was fluttering in the wind. I don't know what's going on, but the chapter titles of the recent chapters cannot be displayed. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 64. The combination of metal and power, coupled with the scene Binghua was in at the moment, made Angel Lan, who was watching on the side, stunned. It's so violent. It took Angel Lan a long time to utter these words. At the moment when Binghua charged, she was so fast that her eyes couldn't catch its movement. Angel Lan imagined in his mind that if he was fighting with the Legion commander, he would probably be pierced by the heavy sword and gun just now. Binghua, who was in the pit, raised his sword and spear, then jumped out of the pit, nodding and still satisfied with the destructive power of his blow. You must know that this is a training platform for the Sky Sword Legion. The floor here is extremely dense and its hardness exceeds that of ordinary steel. But even so, Binghua had easily used his sword and spear to dig out a large hole several meters long. As Binghua, who was wearing heavy armor, advanced, there were bursts of heavy metal treading sounds. Lan, go and ask the angel from the scientific research department to fix it. The force you used just now was a bit too strong. If I had known better, I wouldn't have tested it here at the training ground. Binghua waved his hands towards Angel Lan, who was staring at him, and at the same time, the heavy armor on his body began to disappear one by one, replaced by the angel armor exclusive to the Legion commander. You're gone, why are you still dazed? Did you just look stupid? She didn't react until Binghua walked in front of Angel Lan. Binghua wondered if she was stupid, so he put his hand in front of her and waved. Angel Lan, who was deep in thought while simulating a fight with Binghua, finally came to his senses and quickly explained with a slightly red face. I'm sorry, Legion Commander, I was distracted just now. It's okay. I thought you had some mental problem. It made me worry in vain. Binghua felt relieved when she saw that Angel Lan was fine, and pretended not to care and continued walking past Angel Lan, while saying without looking back. Lan, after you finish this place, call Ran. Then you two come to the conference hall. I have something to ask. It's the Legion Commander. Do you need to summon the Guardian Angels? No, I just want to ask you something. There is no need to gather the Guardian Angels. Angel Lan watched Binghua's back gradually disappear from sight, and then began to contact the Tianjian-1 robot belonging to the Scientific Research Department to repair the damaged ground here. Half an hour later, Binghua sat on the throne above the empty Legion meeting hall. Standing in front of him were the two girls, Angel Ran and Angel Lan, who had received the summons. Binghua leaned on the throne. Her posture was very lazy, but she found this posture very comfortable. Angel Ran, who was standing straight, twitched the corner of his mouth slightly when he saw this, and couldn't help but say, "Legion Commander, this is not in line with your status at all. You should." Angel Ran was interrupted by Binghua before she finished speaking. "Stop, stop, stop. I already told you that there are only 3 of us here, and it's not official business to come to you today. I'm usually so tired from pretending, so now I have some free time to relax." Angel Lan on the side also spoke out to persuade. Ran. "Since Sister Binghua has said so, why don't you just relax?" Angel Ran hesitated for a moment, and then his body that stood upright relaxed slightly. Seeing this, Binghua felt a little sad for Ran, the conscientious order conveyor. Angel Ran has been in charge of military affairs in these years, and even personally supervised the training of new recruits. For this reason, he did not hesitate to use himself as an example. It was obvious that the reason why Angel Ran was so strict with herself was so as not to embarrass her, the Legion Commander. "Okay, you guys should sit down too." Binghua waved his hand and used micro-wormhole transport technology to transport 2 seats, and motioned for Angel Ran and Angel Lan to sit down and talk. "I have been busy with my own affairs during this period. Thank you for your hard work." "It's not hard at all. I'm honored to share the worries of the Legion Commander." Binghua couldn't stand Ran's attitude anymore, so she smiled and shook her head gently. "Okay, Ran, I asked you to collect information on the foreign kings around the Kara galaxy. How is the progress? Who is the nearest foreign king force to us?" Reporting to the commander of the Legion, there are 2 foreign kings closest to the Kara system, namely the Heavenly War King Hua Si and the Heavenly Meteor King Hualian. Angel Ran's relaxed body straightened up again, and he was obviously in working mode. "What is their respective strength? How many troops are left behind?" Angel Ran waved his hand directly, and a projection appeared. The picture in it was a star map near the Kara galaxy. This is the Mir galaxy where the King of Heavenly War is located. There are more than 30 angel-affiliated civilizations in it. Most of them are in the pre-nuclear civilization era, and only a few have reached the aerospace-level civilization. Among them, the royal city of King Tianzhan was built on the planet Mir. There are a total of 100,000 troops left behind, of which 10,000 are scattered in various affiliated civilizations in the galaxy. There are still 90,000 troops left to guard the royal city. However, it is speculated that if a war breaks out, the guardian of the Heavenly War King in the Mir system can issue a wartime order and temporarily recruit ordinary angels. The war potential is estimated to reach 400,000, with the ability to continue to rise. Binghua put his hand on his chin. The war potential seemed a bit strong. He only had 100,000 troops under his command, but the Tianzhan King's general only needed to issue an order to recruit an army of 300,000 troops. War potential is the combat effectiveness that a force can exert to its maximum extent. Take King Huaya of Tiangong as an example. Tianquan's standing garrison is 1.5 million, but if Huaya issues a wartime order to recruit a large number of ordinary angels, he can pull out an army of nearly 5 million in a short time, and this is not the limit. Every foreign king has this kind of war potential, but there are also highlands, which mainly depends on the population of ordinary angels under his rule. Then Binghua asked Hualien, another meteorite king, about the status of the remaining troops in the skull system. However, Binghua was disappointed. The galaxy ruled by King Tianyu was larger than that of King Tianzhan, so his strength was also stronger. The number of remaining troops was close to 200,000. Well, it seems that we are still a little sparrow at the bottom of the food chain. Everyone is better than us. Binghua said jokingly, as if he were self-deprecating, but the next moment his tone became murderous. But soon I will turn this little sparrow into a falcon that can fly freely in the sky. After Binghua finished speaking, his murderous intention dispersed, and he turned to Angel Lan and asked, "How many sky blades do we have now? Report to the commander of the Legion that according to your instructions, we have been building the Sky Blade 2 battleship. Now there are 3 Sky Blade 2 battleships in the Sky Sword Legion that can be put into combat immediately. Well, it would be nice to have 3 ships. Thank you for your hard work these years, Lan." When Angel Lan heard Binghua's comfort, a bright smile immediately appeared on his face. Binghua has made a decision. She cannot continue to waste the Keela galaxy like this. She wants to expand the strength of the Sky Sword Legion so that she can have the power to fight Huaya in the future. As soon as the laziness around Binghua dissipated, he stood up from the throne, waved his hand and spoke domineeringly. "As soon as I get back, I will inform the entire army that a Legion meeting will be held here tomorrow. I will attack the Mir Galaxy." Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 65. The Legion meeting was held, and all the guardian angels gathered in the meeting hall. Binghua sat on the most deceived throne. Below the bright and spacious hall were more than 4,000 guarding angels divided into 2 sides. Binghua glanced down and saw that the guardian angels stood upright with their heads raised and chests raised, their wings folded behind their backs, and the red cherry helmet visors pulled down covered half of their faces, revealing their small noses and tempting cherry blossoms. Colored lips. The figures and faces of Angel Ran and Angel Lan, who were not wearing helmets, were even more beautiful in the queue on both sides. Binghua had to wonder if Hexi added some private information to it when he was studying the genes of the second-generation super warriors, such as about beauty. Binghua also found that his face was a little softer than before, and his appearance had not changed much, but he had gained a mysterious temperament. Binghua was not wearing the heavy armor of the army at this moment, but was wearing a blue cape and a more beautiful Legion commander's armor. When the guarding angels below all arrived, Binghua finally spoke, and his voice echoed throughout the hall. Now that all the sisters are here, I will first make a decision regarding the future destiny of the Heavenly Sword Legion. Sisters, we have been in the Kra Galaxy for so long, it's time to go out and explore. I think the Mir Galaxy, the homeland of the Heavenly War King not far from us, is very good. If the sisters below have any good opinions, can you give them? There was silence, but 2 seconds later the guardian angels below were heard shouting in unison. Everything depends on the Legion commander's decision. Binghua, who was sitting on the throne, shook his head secretly. No one could raise objections or better opinions. Now the entire Heavenly Sword Legion is Binghua's one-word hall, but Binghua is not a god and can take care of everything. So Binghua planned to find a few female angels with brains to train them, but now it seemed that this idea had a long way to go. Okay, since the sisters have no objections, then I give the order. Binghua stood up from the throne and looked down at the guardian angels below. From now on, the Heavenly Sword Legion has officially entered a wartime state, and all the female angels scattered outside have been recalled. In addition, each of the 5 angel combat teams is organized under the command of an ordinary guard angel, and then all fall under the angel's dispatching command. The second level and first level guardian angels were left alone to form a pair, and I personally commanded and dispatched them. Tomorrow I want to see all the soldiers of the Sky Sword Legion gather in the base square and board the Sky Blade. After Binghua finished speaking, all the guardian angels below shouted yes in unison. When the time scale moved forward one day, in the extremely wide square of Tianjian base, a silver sea of people composed of female angel warriors stood there neatly, with bunches of red tassels on their helmets seemingly tied up. The high ponytail is equally eye-catching. And above the heads of the sea of people, there are 3 celestial battleships called Tianren 2 that cover the sky and the sun at this moment. They are parked in the mid-air in a Z-shaped shape, like 3 upside-down giant swords with bright golden wings. Binghua didn't want to talk nonsense. The angelic civilization didn't like the speech before the war. As for the goal and significance of this crusade, it has long been known by the angel warriors below through dark information reading. After Binghua scanned all the angel warriors below, he stretched out his hand and shouted, "Everyone board the ship, target the mill system." The scene that followed was extremely spectacular. Countless angel teams spread their wings, soared into the sky, and quickly flew to their respective Sky Blade battleships according to their respective team numbers. Although there were a lot of angels taking off in an instant, there was no confusion at all. They staggered their respective flight trajectories and boarded the 3 Sky Blade battleships in an orderly manner. Finally, there is Binghua and the more than 800 elite guarding angels directly under her leadership. The one they want to board is the one in the middle of the 3 Sky Blades. When Binghua entered the Sky Blade battleship and sat in the command hall, on the chair that symbolized the position of the Legion commander, the 3 Sky Blade warships parked above the Sky Sword base began to rise, and the meteorites blocking their way were easily knocked away by the shields on their surfaces. Then the 3 celestial warships entered the space jump mode that had been calculated long ago and disappeared outside the Tianjian base, leaving only the energy tide caused by the space jump and a few remaining angel warriors. In the silent outer area of the Kra galaxy, the space was violently distorted, and 3 huge and gorgeous celestial battleships appeared here. The surrounding space is dark and deep, with only the little bits of light from distant stars making the place look not too desolate. The 3 Sky Sword warships flew in a straight line in the direction of the Mir galaxy. As for why they didn't make a space jump quickly, it was because the current Sky Sword Legion had not yet made a plan for the battle against the Mir galaxy. In the high-level meeting of the Legion projected on the Sky Blade, there were actually only 3 people, Binghua, Angel Ran and Angel Lan. The 3 of them were discussing how to capture the Mir galaxy without attracting the attention of the defender of Mir Star, and obtain the huge female angel army under the rule of the King of Heavenly War. Angel Ran spoke first. "I think we should immediately jump to the outer reaches of the Mir Star system and directly capture the Mir Star. That way we can get rid of it once and for all." But this was immediately opposed by Angel Lan. "Our goal is not the Mir galaxy itself, but to rescue the female angels who have been unfairly treated there. Moreover, directly attacking the heavily defended Mir Star will cost us a lot of casualties. I don't agree with your plan." In the projection, Angel Ran and Angel Lan are competing against each other. Ran thinks that his plan can be completed once and for all, but Lan thinks that it is not worth the sisters to die in vain for a Mir Star. Binghua didn't agree with Ran's plan in his heart, because Binghua knew very well that he was not here to annex the Tian War King's territory, but to develop and strengthen the Legion. "Okay, don't argue for now. First, find a planet with a large number of angels in the Mir galaxy." The star map of the Mir galaxy was immediately projected, and Binghua leaned forward and stretched out a finger and began to slowly fiddle with it. After a long time, the corners of Binghua's mouth turned up slightly. He leaned forward again and leaned on the throne behind him. He stretched out his fingers and tapped a planet. The planet on the star map immediately zoomed in and its name appeared below. Hal's star is a planet with 50% of its area covered by green vegetation. In addition, its distance from the stars in the galaxy is very suitable, making this planet very suitable for life. Of course, even if the environment is a bit harsh, it doesn't matter to the Angel clan, but the Angel clan's aesthetics are still very normal. Of course, they like to live in places with beautiful things. Hal's star is such a place. However, the reason why Binghua set the target of the first battle here was not because the Hal planet was suitable for life, because there were hundreds of thousands of angels living on this planet, of which female angels accounted for about half of the population. In addition, the distance between Hal's star and Mir star is not too far. According to the current warship jump speed of Male Angel, it only takes less than a day to arrive. The water group, the water time is a bit long. Sorry everyone, there is only one update. I will make up the second update at noon tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 66. Binghua's idea was very simple, that is, to surround the point and call for reinforcements. This tactic had been seen in the book by Binghua in his previous life, but he only knew the basic principles. Binghua still needed to formulate a detailed battle plan himself. Look here. Binghua pointed at the location of the Hal star and spoke to Ran and Lan in the projection on the side. The distance between here and Mir star is not too far. Now that the King of War is going to attack Huaya, he must have taken away the celestial warships of his legion. Without the celestial warships, today's Mil Star Angel defenders cannot make long-distance space jumps and can only rely on jump navigation. The fastest way to reach the Star of Hal is to use jump navigation, and it will take a day. My plan is this. Binghua told her the plan she had in mind. Although it was not complicated, Angel Ran and Lan were still surprised when they heard it. However, they were surprised, but Angel Ran and Angel Lan still agreed with Binghua's plan, because it could greatly reduce Legion casualties and achieve good results. Now that the general plan has been set, the next step is to implement it naturally, and the situation of the Angel defenders on Hal has long been figured out by the Sky Sword Legion. Angel Ran's position as the command messenger over the years was not for nothing. She was not only responsible for training new recruits, but also sent out a large number of female angels to collect various intelligence materials from nearby galaxies. Among them, the Mir galaxy is naturally no exception. Although there is no detailed information on each affiliated civilization, Angel Ran has sent angels to collect every planet in the Mir galaxy where angels have settled. Naturally, Hal Star was no exception. Angel Ran immediately called up the Hal Star garrison information in the Tianjian database. After Binghua browsed, he found that the Angel Legion of Hal Star originally numbered 20,000, but when the Heavenly War King went to attack Huaya, he transferred 12,000 Angel Legion troops. There are currently about 8,000 Angel Legions stationed on the planet Hal, commanded by a second-generation warrior general. It seems that it is not difficult to capture this planet. The main thing is that the Angel Legion troops need preventive support. Binghua said so. Angel Ran and Angel Lan also nodded in agreement. Then let's do this. The Skyblade I am on will capture the Hal Star. The two of you will lead your respective Skyblades to park in the outer area of the Hal Star system and hide on the spot. When the male angel reinforcements arrive, follow me. Let's surround and annihilate them together. Binghua stretched out his palm and shook it hard. A hint of confidence appeared on his face, because this could be regarded as the first time that Binghua was on the advantageous side and the male angel was on the weak side, and it was still a battle with a huge disparity in strength between 30,000 and 8,000. As soon as the Binghua battle plan was formulated, thanks to the powerful information and legend ability of the god-making civilization, the formation of the three sky blades soon began to move and adjust. The Tianren flagship where Binghua is located is in the front, and the Tianren auxiliary ship where Angel Ran and Angel Lan are at the rear. Then the shipboard control angels of the three sky blades began to dock and synchronize the calculation data, and together calculated the space jump data that could jump to the outer area of the Mir galaxy in one go. As for why they didn't jump directly to the outer reaches of the HAL star system in the Mir galaxy at once, this has to do with the conventional defense methods of the God-making civilization. God-making civilizations generally set up an algorithm area at the edge of the galaxy or the edge of the star system that can interfere with space jumps or space wormhole jumps. This can prevent large-scale fleets from crossing the defense line and jumping directly to the hinterland of the galaxy. At the same time, this algorithm also interferes in both directions, which means that one's own side cannot jump directly into the interference area. This ensures that the enemy cannot crack the jamming algorithm in a short period of time and directly attack important planets. This is the current situation. The Skyblade battleship can be considered a very advanced celestial battleship of the Angel civilization today, but it still cannot cross the space blockade zone. The only way is to jump to the outer reaches of the Mir galaxy, then sail through the blockade by leaping, and then make another space jump inside the Mir galaxy to the HAL star system. Binghua came alone to the platform at the edge of the Skyblade battleship, and looked up at the lines of light that passed by as the Skyblade made its leap. This scene is actually quite beautiful. The long lines of light are actually the luminous stars in the universe. But because the Skyblade is on a jump voyage, before you see those stars, they are already far behind the Skyblade battleship at your feet. How many familiar or unfamiliar faces will lose their lives this time? I don't know if Binghua's murmur was asking someone else or himself. However, Binghua knew very well that as long as there was a war, there would actually be bloodshed and sacrifice, and what she could do was to minimize this number as much as possible. At this moment, Binghua felt a little lonely for no reason, but she couldn't tell Ran and the others about this. Suddenly Hexie's face flashed in Binghua's mind, but the next moment Binghua put the idea of confiding in Hexie out of his mind. Hexie should be very busy now. The genetic engineering to crack and optimize the third-generation super warrior is at the last moment, and Binghua is unwilling to disturb her. Just like this, Binghua was sitting alone on the platform at the edge of the Skyblade battleship, not knowing what to think. The blue cloak behind her was scattered on the ground behind her, and her dark eyes were staring at the scenery of the jump channel. I don't know how long it took, maybe 2 days, but the color of the pitch-black jump channel with the passing light was gradually fading. The shining stars that were originally stretched into lines gradually began to return to their original appearance. Only 3 white streams of light were seen shooting from the distant space, and finally exploded to reveal 3 of the Skyblade II battleships. Binghua stood up from the platform, patted his slightly wrinkled cloak, and his face returned to its usual confident look. Now she is the commander of the Heavenly Sword Legion. A single order can change the fate of hundreds of thousands of people. She is no longer the simple ice flower she used to be. From now on, I will never be weak again. Binghua whispered a sentence into the air, as if putting an indestructible armor on his soul. After saying that, Binghua turned around and walked straight towards the largest building on the Skyblade battleship. The calculation of the HAL star space node has been completed. All angels are asked not to leave the ship. Now start the space jump. The target is the HAL star system. The voice of the female angel echoed in the 3 Skyblades. The next moment, the 3 Skyblades that had just left the transition state quickly sailed into the open space door. At the same time, there was a distortion in the outer space of the distant HAL star system, and the 3 Skyblades escaped from their respective space jump channels. In front of the 3 Skyblades is the HAL star system with 5 planets and 1 star. Among them, HAL is the second planet in this star system. According to the plan, The two sky blades on which Angel Ran and Angel Lan were located immediately separated to the left and right and flew towards the back of the large planet at the outermost edge of the HAL star system. After arriving, the two sky blades will fall into silence, waiting for orders. Binghua was sitting on the throne in the command room and spoke calmly. The battleship is advancing at full speed, targeting the atmosphere of the HAL star. Let them look up to welcome the coming of the Sky Blade. This is the second update to make up for yesterday. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 67. Binghua's words echoed throughout the Sky Blade, and fighting spirit and a hint of expectation emerged from the eyes of the angel squads who were preparing to attack everywhere in the ship. At this moment, these female angels no longer feared the male angels. They expected that they could trample under their feet the male angels who once regarded them as playthings. This is what Binghua hopes to see. If she wants the female angel to truly not be oppressed by the male angel, she must let this idea of resistance emerge in the female angel's heart. Binghua's heavenly sword legion gave them the strength and confidence to resist, and now he personally led them to the planet guarded by the male angels. The huge Tianren 2 flagship was detected before it even approached the HAL star. This was inevitable. After all, the target of the celestial warship was too big. However, this did not help the male angels on HAL. Instead, it gave them an irresistible feeling. However, the commander of the Angel Legion who commanded HAL star was not too panicked, because he had already recognized the force to which this celestial battleship belonged. As the Skyblade got closer to the HAL star, Binghua, who was sitting in the command room, heard an angel report from below. Report to the commander of the army, there is a communication request from the HAL planet. Put it through. Binghua spoke calmly, and the next moment a 1-meter-wide projection screen appeared in the air 2 meters away from Binghua. On the screen was the face of a middle-aged man with strong facial lines. Female angel, I'm warning you, you have now invaded the jurisdiction of the Heavenly War King. If you don't exit the HAL star system as soon as possible, I will regard your behavior as a declaration of war against the Heavenly War King. The middle-aged male angel Hao asked Binghua rudely, who was playing with his fingers, seemingly absent-mindedly. Oh, is that all? Binghua's faint response immediately made the middle-aged male angel in the projection blush, and it took him a long time to utter a sentence. You, what's your attitude? Binghua, who was twiddling his fingers, raised his head and looked at the male angel in the picture who spoke in a cold tone. My intention is not clear enough, or your excellency is blind. If you leave all your resources and lead your troops to exit HAL star, I might be able to spare your lives. Seeing what the middle-aged male angel in the projection wanted to say, Binghua immediately cut off the communication and gave instructions to the female angel below. Speed up the Skyblade sailing speed. The middle-aged male angel who was currently in a metal palace on the surface of the planet HAL punched the armrest of the throne, stood up and roared loudly. This is too much bullying. Do those women want to rebel? This is the jurisdiction of the King of Heavenly War. After venting his anger for a few words, the middle-aged male angel finally calmed down a little and immediately summoned the soldiers. Hurry up and contact Mir Star and tell them that the female angel will lead a large fleet to attack HAL Star and ask them to come to support as soon as possible. After saying this, the middle-aged male angel walked out of the palace and looked at the sky with an angry look. Wait, if you dare to ignore my woman, HAL Star will be the end of your life. The Skyblade battleship soon arrived in the outer space of the HAL star, and at this moment, more than a dozen space battleships with a length of 100 meters, similar to medieval warships, were parked outside the atmosphere of the HAL star. However, these battleships were as small as ants in front of the huge Skyblade. Before these battleships could get closer, the hundreds of dark energy railguns mounted on the Skyblade opened fire one after another. In an instant, a barrage of beams covered the sky and covered the battleships driven by the male angels. It only took a few minutes, and even Binghua didn't send a team of angels to fight. The firepower of Tianren itself destroyed the medieval warship-style warships blocking the way outside the atmosphere. However, although the battleship was damaged, thousands of male angels survived and fled to the HAL star, which made Binghua feel a pity. But there is no one to blame for this. Unless most energy weapons hit directly, it is difficult to kill a physically powerful super warrior just from the aftermath of the explosion. Then Binghua issued a new order again. Open the shield and continue to press forward, directly enter the atmosphere, and start gathering energy for the main gun. At this moment, thousands of male angels are suspended in the mid-air on the surface of the planet HAL. Not only that, but below, around the towering metal palace where the male angel legion is stationed, and in the square in front of the palace, there are male angel soldiers holding weapons and standing ready. But at this moment, these male angels were looking up at the sky that was obscured by a sea of clouds. But this calmness did not last long. Suddenly, the sea of clouds in the sky began to surge violently, and gradually formed a huge white hill, as if a huge thing was about to break through the clouds. But what came out of the clouds the next second was not a monster, but a metallic cold light reflected on the surface, like the giant blade of a sky-lifting giant sword. Immediately, the sea of clouds in the sky was completely divided into two halves, and a celestial battleship that covered the sky and the sun, shaped like an upside-down giant sword, and had golden wings on both sides appeared in the eyes of all the male angels below. At this moment, all the male angels had the same idea in their minds. So big. Then the orange-red scorching light gathered at the center of the Skyblade battleship's hull, like a rotating whirlpool of flames. No. Avoid it quickly. The guard of HAL Star spoke loudly, and then he quickly flapped his wings and moved away from the metal palace. The next moment, hundreds of meters of blazing orange light beams fell from the sky, directly breaking through a layer of transparent shield and hitting the towering metal palace. Then, the moment the huge energy lost its restraint, it went wild and exploded. The resulting dazzling flash immediately plunged the vision of all the male angels below into a blur of white, followed by a loud rumbling sound. When the flash faded, half of the originally towering metal palace had melted and collapsed, and a large hole with a diameter of several hundred meters, emitting black smoke, appeared in the area covered by the distant metal palace. Binghua smacked her lips in the sky blade. She felt that the power was a bit low, and the attack range of this method of gathering star energy and then shooting it out roughly was not large, and only the penetrating power was adequate. Seeing that the male angel in the picture had reacted and reorganized his formation, he seemed to have the intention of counter-attacking the sky blade. I want to counter-attack with just this small force. If you succeed, He-11 will laugh me to death. After saying these words in a low voice, Binghua's expression returned to coldness. She stood up and stepped down from the high platform where the throne was located. At the same time, her voice began to echo throughout the Skyblade battleship. Angel warriors on the Skyblade, it's time for you to attack. Defeat the male angels who once oppressed you. From now on, your hearts will no longer be afraid of any existence. Binghua's order was like a signal. As soon as she finished speaking, groups of female angels filed out of the various exit passages of the Skyblade battleship. In a moment, the female angels filled the entire sky around the Skyblade, making the face of the HAL Star Guard below become extremely ugly. Such a huge disparity in troops instantly brought the already low morale of the male angels to freezing point. Thanks to Justice Order for the reward. The second update will be made up tomorrow at noon. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 68. Each team retreated to the ground. We are at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. Don't fight those female angels in the air. We should defend on the spot according to the terrain. To be able to achieve the position of Guardian of HAL Star, this middle-aged male angel is certainly not a fool. With such a huge disparity in numbers, after the two sides clashed in the air, most of their men would probably be dead. So the guard of Halstar immediately thought of asking his men to organize defense according to the ruins of the Metal Palace and various buildings below to delay as much time as possible. As long as the reinforcements are defended for more than 10 hours, they can reach the Hal planet. But if the female angel does not retreat at that time, she will be attacked from both sides. Binghua stood in the command hall and watched the male angel below retreat from the ground. He didn't pay much attention and immediately ordered an attack. Then tens of thousands of female angels suspended around the sky blade together fanned their white wings to swoop downward, like a sea of white clouds crushing down from the sky. Although the morale of the male angels below was not high, for the sake of their own lives, they still relied on various buildings to gather together and look at the female angel warriors swooping down from the sky. Although there seemed to be a lot of female angel warriors in the air, they were evenly distributed on the battlefield of more than 10 kilometers and still couldn't make too much splash. Binghua observed the battle situation, but soon her brows furrowed because the battle situation did not go as smoothly as she imagined. Dozens of minutes have passed since the two sides fought, but Binghua discovered that the female angels did not show a crushing force, but seemed to be stuck in a quagmire. Binghua began to look around the battlefield through the projection, and soon discovered the reason. The male angels use various metal buildings or terrain in the garrison base for defense, because there are solid buildings or walls to block the backs of the male angels, which prevents their numerical advantage from being fully utilized. In addition, most of the soldiers of the Sky Sword Legion are new recruits. They lack flexibility and lack of tacit cooperation on the battlefield. As a result, the two sides are now fighting evenly. Before the war began, Binghua had informed the entire army that when his own troops had the upper hand, he would give priority to rescuing his injured comrades. This makes the current death rate of the Sky Sword Legion very low, and there are many injured recruits. However, Binghua knew very well that this was just the result of the recruits being careless and overwhelmed when they first entered the battlefield. As long as they passed this battle, the combat effectiveness of the Heavenly Sword Legion would rise in a straight line. But now that the female angel was suffering so much, Binghua naturally would not remain indifferent. She raised her head and gave instructions to the angel in the command hall. Let the angel combat teams on the ground take off immediately and stop fighting. All the dark energy rail guns on the sky blade should be aimed at the ground immediately. I will cleanse the male angel base below. Also, be careful to avoid our people. As soon as Binghua's order was given, the female angels who were fighting with the male angels in the intricate buildings below got rid of their opponents and quickly flapped their wings to climb upwards. The first rule of Angel Rand's training of new recruits is to absolutely obey the orders of superiors on the battlefield, because this can often save your life. This is what happened now. The female angel suddenly left the battlefield after receiving the order, while the male angel continued to huddle on the ground to delay the defense because he did not receive the order. But the next moment ushered in extremely violent and non-stop bombing. The Skyblade battleship tilted its huge hull forward slightly, and the dark energy rail guns installed everywhere on the hull began to fine-tune the long, prismatic barrels that stood up. After the aiming was completed, the golden lines on the barrel began to glow. As the barrel retracted slightly, a jet-black shuttle-shaped beam flew out, shot downward and exploded on the ground, forming a huge fire cloud more than 10 meters high. Just listen to the rumbling noises, fire clouds rising up one after another, and buildings more than 10 meters high, or dozens of meters high, were deformed or shattered and collapsed due to the impact of the explosion. Of course, this bombardment, similar to carpet bombing, did catch the male angel off guard at the beginning. But when they reacted, the results of such bombing after flying into the air were very small. It is not without reason that the angel civilization can rise in the Angel Nebula. The first is its own superb technological strength, and the other is the unique advantage of flying. Don't underestimate this advantage. Even the super soldier army of the god-making civilization cannot fly. In the end, only a few people can escape the shackles of gravity in the universe, such as reaching the existence of the first generation of gods. Seeing those male angels who had cowered up being blasted out by Tianren's dark energy rail cannon, the corners of Binghua's mouth raised slightly again. Continue to attack and suppress the male angels who come out. The male angel soldiers were trying to escape the extended bombardment, but what they just encountered when they escaped into the air were war spears and heavy swords in the hands of countless female angels. After an hour passed, on the battlefield below, only the male angel at the last ruins of the metal palace was still resisting. Thousands of female angels surrounded the palace and launched charges again and again, but they were all repulsed. The dark energy railgun of the Sky Blade in the middle also carried out several high-altitude bombings, but it was obvious that the remains of this metal palace were very strong and the effect was not great. In addition, the palace was occupied by the guard of Halstar and his personal guard angels, which made the female angels' attack extremely unsmooth. Binghua didn't plan to wait any longer. This war on Halstar was just the prelude, and the ambush that followed was the highlight. Surround that metal palace for me and don't let a male angel break out. In addition, all the first and second level guard angels listen to the order and prepare your weapons. I will personally lead you to cut off the enemy guard's head. As Binghua spoke, he was also moving towards the passage leading to the outside of the Sky Blade. At the same time, a famous guarding angel holding a flaming sword or a heavy sword of the same type as the flaming sword also walked out of each passage, spontaneously gathered behind Binghua, and followed her in the spacious passage. Okay. Suddenly red burning lines appeared on Binghua's body, replacing the Legion commander's angel armor on Binghua's body, and then Pajun Type 1 appeared in front of all the guardian angels for the first time. The gorgeous and complex armor appearance, the 2-meter-long sword, spear, and shield instantly attracted the attention of the guarding angels behind him. But Binghua didn't pay attention to these vanities. At this moment, there was only the word serious on her face covered by the helmet and visor. Thousands of guardian angels are holding war spears and aiming at the entrance of the metal palace, confronting the male angels in the palace from a distance. Because the entrance is too small and the enemies cooperate tacitly, this is the real reason why the female angel cannot rush in. But at this moment, there was only a muffled sound coming from behind, as if a heavy object fell to the ground. The female angels all looked back and saw a half-crouching white-armored knight with a blue cloak floating in the wind behind his back and holding a long giant weapon standing upright. Then a celebrity held a pair of guard angels with standard weapons of the second-level guard angel, and fell from the sky one after another, floating in the sky behind the armored knight and fanning the wings. Yesterday's second update. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 69. Seeing Binghua, the Legion commander, personally coming to the battlefield, the ordinary angel warriors surrounding the palace quickly gave up their positions, and Binghua also gave timely orders. Stand back, don't let any male angel escape. After saying that, Binghua stepped forward, making a dull sound of footsteps while leaving a clear line of footprints on the ground. The shield held by Binghua's left hand disappeared as the space twisted slightly, and then she held a 2-meter-long heavy sword and gun with both hands and pointed it forward. I'll open the gap, and then you can rush in. After saying this, Binghua didn't give his guarding angels a chance to object. He immediately spread the angel wings behind his back and stepped hard on the ground with his right foot. Binghua's body suddenly rushed out among the shattered stones that were splashed backwards, and at the same time, the wings behind her were rapidly fanned to increase her speed. Before the rocks splashed backwards fell, Binghua's whole body was like a heavy artillery shell flying towards the metal palace gate defended by hundreds of male angels. Binghua didn't care about the gap between the enemy and ourselves, he just clenched the sword and gun in his hand and used all his strength to flap his wings and sprint forward. The male angels who were defending looked at a female angel whose whole body was wrapped in metal armor, holding a heavy long weapon and hitting it like a meteor. They couldn't help but start to retreat slightly in fear. However, it was obvious that they did not retreat as fast as Binghua's charge. The front end of the sword and gun effortlessly penetrated the chest of a male angel, and then pierced into the ground with majestic power. There was only a loud booming sound, the ground collapsed downwards, and irregular cracks like lightning spread crazily around. But Binghua's figure did not stop there. The sword and spear that penetrated a male angel continued to advance forward, cutting a several-meter-long crack in the ground. More than a dozen male angels who were blocking the front were directly hit by armor-piercing armor. Binghua was hit hard and flew backwards. After Binghua stopped advancing, the male angel who had been penetrated by the sword and gun before had only the blood-stained chain armor fragments hanging on the front of the sword and gun. Binghua turned around and glanced around. She was surrounded by a circle of male angels holding spears and 2 male angels holding cross swords. Me, she is alone. A male angel holding a cross sword shouted, seemingly in a position similar to that of a squad leader. Then the male angels surrounding Binghua shouted in unison, and their spears flashing with cold light quickly stabbed Binghua. Binghua didn't speak or yell. The dark eyes behind his visor seemed to be burning with flames, and he flipped the sword and gun forward in his hand. The last one who came first was a male angel who was stabbed to death on the spot. Then Binghua held the sword and gun with both hands and swept away. Several male angels were swept to the ground by the heavy sword and gun. However, the battle between angels will not be limited to the ground alone. At some point, several male angels fanning their wings appeared in the sky above their heads. At this moment, they were stabbing hard with spears. But the scene that appeared the next moment shocked the surrounding male angels. The alloy spear that could easily pierce the body of a generation of super warriors could only scratch out a string of sparks on Binghua's shoulders and the armor stomach on his chest, leaving not even a scratch. What kind of material is this armor made of and why it's so hard? This was the thought in the minds of several male angels who thrust out their spears. Then the male angels around them looked at Binghua again from beginning to end. The helmet that covers the entire head, the composite double-layered shoulder armor, the thick breastplate that is folded forward and raised, the large blue cloak with white fluff on the back, and the metal battle skirt that reaches to the knees below. No part of his body was exposed, so how could he fight? It was like a group of hooligans with sticks surrounding a tank, with no way to start. The male angels were not in a daze at Binghua. A line of sacred language code on the front side of the sword and gun glowed slightly. A sound like the shrieking of countless birds sounded, accompanied by countless leaping electric snakes as thick as fingers wrapped around the sword and gun. The next moment, Binghua's combat boots hit the ground, and with arcs of electricity exploding like spider webs under his feet, he held a sword and gun and flew out like a lightning spear. The male angels who blocked the road along the way were knocked away one after another, falling to the ground with arcs flashing all over their bodies and twitching. Those who were unlucky were directly strung up into a gourd by the sword and gun wrapped with lightning and hung on the gun body. After rushing forward for more than 10 meters and almost rushing out of the palace gate, Binghua suddenly stopped his body. Then he turned back and thrust forward the sword and gun still wrapped with lightning in his hand, and electric snakes scattered in all directions and snaked forward into the air ahead. The male angels who had originally dodged Binghua's attack with a spear before he could breathe a sigh of relief were treated to a free electrotherapy treatment. Coupled with the fact that lightning is easy to conduct and spread, the bodies of dozens of male angels guarding the palace gate instantly fell into temporary paralysis. Binghua put down the sword and gun he was carrying and shouted, "All the guarding angels, attack now!" The impatient guarding angels, who had been waiting at the gate outside the palace for a long time, heard the legion commander's order, and the enemy's formation guarding the palace gate was broken up by Binghua. How could they miss such a good opportunity? The first-level guardian angel holding the flaming sword acted as a sharp knife, fanning his wings like a swooping fighter jet, and rushed into the palace in an instant. Then there are the second-level guard angels holding alloy heavy swords. They have not been promoted to the second generation and are responsible for consolidating the results of the battle and helping Binghua annihilate the male angels defending at the palace gate. Just now, Binghua was alone in the battle, but at this moment, it turned into a big melee between male and female angels. The second-level guard angel confronted the male angel guarding the palace gate, and then slashed at each other. The more than 100 first-level guard angels who rushed in first relied on their second-generation warrior strength to pass through the group of male angels from left to right, and arranged for them to gather together to support the palace gate. Only a few first-level guard angels encountered the captain-level male angel holding a cross sword, and were tightly entangled and unable to escape. However, the female angels holding the flaming sword are no match for their opponents. Their bodies are as tough as steel, allowing them to ignore the sneak attacks of some male angels around them, as long as they pay attention to protecting their vital points. But on the battlefield in the palace, there were two beings who were so different. One of them is a middle-aged tall male angel. A faint red color appears on the cross sword in his hand. He can cut the heavy sword of the second-level guard angel into two pieces in one go, and then the sword in his hand connects smoothly. A horizontal slash passed across the fair neck of the female angel. And the other one is Binghua. Wearing broken military armor, she is like an unshakable god of war. With a swipe and stab of the heavy sword and gun in her hand, a famous male angel soldier of the generation was knocked away without any resistance. Those who were not killed on the spot fell to the ground and only had the ability to scream. But the balance of victory and defeat in this war had already tilted towards the Heavenly Sword Legion when the guardian angels rushed into the palace. The second update may be tomorrow. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 70. When the sword and gun, which was nearly 20 centimeters wide, was swung, the momentum was extremely terrifying, and the surrounding air accelerated. Although it is just a simple swing or a downward chop or an upward lift, in the hands of Binghua, who has a foundation in swordsmanship, it is extremely smooth, like a veteran who has practiced for more than 10 years. When a male angel, a second-generation squad leader, saw Binghua driving his Wushuan and sweeping away the first-generation male angel soldiers around him, he quickly flew several meters high in the air, rushed forward and slashed with his sword. When there was a harsh sound of weapon collision, and at the same time there was a spreading invisible air wave. Binghua's feet sank into the ground dozens of centimeters deep. Several male angels who originally surrounded Binghua took a step back to give way to the two of them. Space. Binghua finally met someone who could block her blow. She held the gun with one hand and shook the gun body, directly breaking away the male angel who had slashed the sword and gun. Then Binghua stepped forward, making heavy footsteps while leaving cracked footprints on the ground. He raised his gun with one hand and stabbed. Although this stab is very fast, the size of the sword and gun is there after all, and the angels who can become second-generation super warriors are angels with rich practical experience. One side of his body dodged Binghua's stab, and then the male angel's mouth opened slightly in excitement. He held the sword with both hands and stabbed Binghua's breastplate with all his strength. However, the sound that came out the next moment made his face freeze. The cross sword, a flame-level weapon, only left a shallow scratch on Binghua's breastplate but made no other achievements. Then a small metal palm covered the male angel's face. Binghua instantly activated the sacred language code on the side of the arm guard. As the inscription quickly lit up, the electric light lit up on the gauntlet holding the male angel's face. Countless twisted electric snakes appeared along Binghua's left arm, and then sank into the body of the male angel whose face was covered by Binghua's palm, causing his whole body to twitch and sway. But Binghua knew very well that this electric snake, which could easily turn ordinary people into charcoal, could only paralyze the body of the second-generation super warrior for a period of time at most. But this time was enough. The sword and spear stabbing the air suddenly stopped, and then changed from stabbing to slashing, slashing hard on the male angel's waist, and a line of blood suddenly spurted out. Then Binghua kicked the male angel, who had a big gash in his side, to fly out. Then Binghua flapped his white wings on his back, held the sword and gun in one hand and swept forward in the air. The sharp gun blade pierced the chest of the male angel who had just been kicked and fell to the ground. After Binghua killed the enemy, he did not fall down in a hurry. Instead, he rose higher and higher, looking around the battlefield. The female angel has already established a firm footing and is methodically gnawing at the male angel's activity space in the palace. But there was one battlefield that attracted Binghua's attention, because there was a middle-aged male angel suppressing 3 first-level guard angels holding flaming swords. The male angel had a strong face and was wearing bright silver chainmail that was more exquisite than ordinary male angel soldiers. There was even a phantom waving a cross sword in his hand. The 3 second-generation female angel warriors who together resisted the attack could only use their flaming swords to block, or use their numerical advantage to sneak attack from the side to mitigate the male angel's attack. This is the basic combat mode of the female angel of war law. Binghua once told Angel Ran that the battlefield is not a duel field. If you can fight more and fight less, don't pursue a one-on-one fair competition, because only the winner can say what is fair. 2 words. Binghua raised the sword and gun in his hand, charged up his bow arm and threw it towards the battlefield over there. An extremely terrifying scream came out. The middle-aged male angel who was attacking the female angel looked up and saw a heavy weapon more than 2 meters long and nearly 20 centimeters wide heading towards her. Very decisively giving up on the opponent in front of him, the middle-aged male angel flapped his wings behind his back and quickly retreated a certain distance backwards. The thrown sword and gun pierced the ground diagonally, making a muffled sound, and the huge force contained in it caused the ground with a radius of 2 meters around it to collapse. Binghua also flew over at this moment, stretched out his hand to hold the sword and gun that was pierced into the ground, and used the momentum of flight to strike forward and tease him. Naturally, the middle-aged male angel who dodged first saw this scene. The cross sword crossed his body and blocked the gun blade that was coming from the bottom up. However, the terrifying force still shook him back a certain distance. It was not until this moment that the middle-aged angel saw clearly who was attacking him. It was Binghua with a blue cloak fluttering behind him in heavy military armor. You must be the captain of these women. As long as I kill you, they will be nothing more than a bunch of loose sand. The middle-aged male angel's face showed a ferocious look, and a faint red light emerged from the cross sword and gun in his hand. Oh! Dark energy drive. Unfortunately I'm pretty good at this stuff too. The corner of Binghua's mouth slightly raised after seeing this visor, and he lowered the sword and gun in his hand, and the 4 lines of sacred language inscriptions representing the power of dark energy on the front of the gun blade lit up. A shallow layer of scorching red flame covered the surface of the sword and gun, and the space at the end of this flame was scorched and twisted by highly condensed dark energy. Dark energy drive is an ability that only the 3rd generation of super warriors have, because after the super warriors are promoted to the 3rd generation, the genetic engine of the super warriors will be qualitatively improved. One of them is the efficient application of dark energy, so only the 3rd generation super soldiers can fully exert the power of the flame class weapon itself. And this does not mean that only 3rd generation super soldiers can use dark energy drive. Some 2nd generation super soldiers will touch this field in advance. They will build dark energy driven algorithms in their own dark planes to control this terrifying energy in advance. Although the computing power of the gene engine cannot sustain the operation of the dark energy drive algorithm for a long time, it is enough to give these people a combat capability that is far beyond the same level. The heavy sword gun and the cross sword collided in mid-air, and a hot wind swept across all directions, knocking the male and female angels who had gathered around them back. The 2 people who were fighting with weapons in their hands were no exception. The extremely terrifying repulsive force came through the gun barrel, and was mostly weakened by the layers of shock-absorbing armor. But even so, Binghua took a step back, causing the extremely dense floor to crack. The middle-aged male angel also slid back several meters, leaving two ravines dozens of centimeters deep on the floor. After Binghua relieved the impact, he immediately stepped forward and rushed forward. The front end of the 2-meter-long sword and gun in his hand suddenly began to split, deform, and retract backwards, turning into a silver giant sword with a blade over 1 meter long. The giant sword that looked extremely heavy was easily swung by Binghua with one hand, and it struck the male angel with a slash. The male angel just took a step to the left to dodge the giant sword that fell down. He held the hilt of the cross sword with both hands and leaned forward to strike with a thrust. However, there was only a harsh grinding sound, and the bright silver cross sword blade was tightly grasped by Binghua's left palm covered with metal gauntlet, and could no longer be deposited. I have something to do today, so I only have one update. I will make up for what I owe tomorrow if I have time.